Welcome to the Garlic Boys podcast, where we treat friendship like a good recipe treats garlic. You can never have too much of it. We're your hosts. I'm Connor O'Connor.
And I'm the guy who sits on the couch and watches the Olympics, and every time they mess up, he goes, yeah, I could do that. What a loser. Pathetic. And then trips over the sidewalk a little bit later.
Well, good news, there's one guy you can never say those words about.
Who?
Peter the Pummel Horse Najarski, or however you say his name.
Oh!
Do you know about this guy?
Yeah, I saw a video about him.
Basically the best and brightest thing coming out of this year's Olympics so far, where he's an Uber driver from New York whose only job is pummel horse. He just does the pummel horse, and he helped win the first bronze medal in 16 years for the U.S. men's gymnastics team.
Go, dude.
And it's great. Awesome. It's great because he was sleeping for the first 2 hours of the event, and it was his turn to go up. He takes off his glasses, goes up there, does basically a flawless performance, and then comes back down, puts his glasses on, and just starts rubbing at a Rubik's Cube. I was watching an interview with him, and he was like, yeah, me and my girlfriend, we've been dating for 8 years now. We met the first day freshman year of college, and we were sitting there and we were taking an ADHD test together. And she was like, oh, you're doing that right now. And I was shaking my leg, and I was like, you're doing it too.
We can't forget about the late great Simone Biles. I know, late great.
What do you mean late great? She's still alive.
We can't forget about Simone Biles, who could do a 320 half turn kickflip pogo over my head and not even touch me at all, not even once. It's insane. I've been enjoying the Summer Olympics. I will say they have been a joy to watch. Even though I could never do any of that in a million years.
Oh, I could never do any of it. Some people was disrespecting the men's skateboarding team.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how are we gonna invent a sport and then do that badly at it? And somebody commented, well, that's what happens when you have to drug test all the skateboarders.
That's why they have their separate thing called the X Games.
But I've been enjoying it. My friends and I did a little watch party of the Olympics opening ceremony, which nice. I don't know if you know, is 3 to 4 hours long.
Yeah, it's long. It's really long.
And it held on the Sims River, so they were coming in on boats and everything, and it's fun to watch the different sizes of the boats depending on country. Because I started paying attention right towards the end because we've been trying to figure out who the masked figure that was holding the torch the entire time was. When all it was just a reference to the one character from Assassin's Creed. It wasn't a famous person that was going to be unmasked. It was just that. But I was paying attention, and you see smaller countries at the end. They have 4 Olympic athletes, and they're just all chilling on the boat, having fun and everything. And then you get into France and Australia are one of the last two, and then the US, and we have over 400 athletes at the entire event, and it's a huge boat, like almost a ship, just full of people on the top deck, and you just have LeBron James on the front waving the American flag as they're coming through. And it's such a funny thing to watch because this doesn't happen except at the Olympics. You don't see a stupid amount of people on a boat like that. And then you also have just Snoop Dogg just being America's grandpa now at all of these events.
That I hate that you just said those words.
America's grandpa?
Yeah.
Because he's old?
He is. It's not something you think about very often. But people are getting older. I don't like it. I need to stop.
If you had to guess, how old do you think Snoop Dogg is?
62.
Okay, rude. He's 52.
You called him a grandpa, so I assumed.
I know grandparents that are younger than that.
Yeah, my grandparents or my parents are.
Your parents are younger than 52?
Well, I can't say that, but they're younger than 62. Well, at least my mom is. My dad's not.
Your dad is 62, isn't he?
I don't know, man. Don't ask me these questions. I don't keep track.
You don't keep track of how old your parents are.
I don't keep track of how old my parents are or my 6 sisters, technically 5. I don't keep track of any of that. I just guess. Anytime I have to do, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. That's probably bad.
In fairness, all I have to do to remember my brother's birthday is remember my own birthday.
Right. So the problem is you have 1, I have 6.
I
Okay,
have 1 I talk to.
you have 1 that you need to keep track of because you actively live with them. I have now, I guess, like 7, 8, 5 plus 2. Yeah, 7 to keep track of. That's a lot. And then I have to keep track of Mia's. I have to keep track of yours. I have to keep track of every other friend that I've ever had in my entire life, even if they don't talk to them anymore.
If
I have
only
to
there was
remember
some
everybody.
sort of system, like an application that you could put all this information in, and it would remind you on a yearly basis.
Like an application, as in an ointment or like something you apply to yourself.
No, I think more of like you know how on your phone you can like go in and text me. Like if they had something that like I could put like all of those dates and times and reminders and events like into one area, and like I can like an application on your phone.
Oh, an application on your phone.
Yeah.
Phone. I don't think they've made that yet.
Like some way I could take like the calendar on my wall and put it into an app, you know?
Right. Unfortunately, I just have to write everything on a loose leaf piece of paper or something.
Oh, this is wild. Would you look at that? There is a calendar application. Right there. Right there.
You pointing to a clock.
No, right above the clock.
Right above the clock.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
hold
it
on,
hasn't.
Hold on. Put that back up. Put it back up.
See it?
I see it.
Do you see it?
I see it, Connor.
Do you see it now? Sorry, let me get a little closer. Do you see it there?
I see it.
Okay, I'm so glad that you see it.
Calendars are hard to keep up, Connor.
And I understand that, but sometimes you have to
Nip slip. Good thing it's legal for men.
But yeah, speaking of remembering birthdays, I'd like to let everyone know that Matt did remember to text me on my birthday.
Yeah, I did.
Which he did better than me because I forgot to text him. And so I'm gonna give him that.
I literally woke up and the first thing I did was text you. Like that was so dang early in the morning.
It was 10:06 in the morning.
That's early, man. I've been off work. Going to work is going to be the worst thing ever when I go back to work.
Just so everyone knows, and I'm gonna show proof. He sent me a GIF of Donald Trump saying "Happy Birthday, Shining Star."
I don't say happy birthday anymore. I send gifts because it's reminiscent of the word gift. Hey, get out of here. So it is my gift to you. And I do the same thing for everybody on their birthday. So you should feel special.
Speaking of gifts, do you want to talk through some of the gifts that I got for my birthday? Because some of these are great.
Do I want to talk through some of the gifts? I don't know what you got for your birthday.
Well, luckily, I'm going to tell you, and that's part of this.
Get out now. Thank you.
I got one It's like this stuffed plushy foot
Nice.
that's like
Oh, right. 'Cause
Bigfoot branded.
Oh, Bigfoot. Gotcha.
It has a pocket on the back of it for some reason.
Not your foot fetish. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't get it.
You know
There's
what? You should put your credit card in there and take it around with you. And when the police officers ask for your license and registration, you just hand them a Bigfoot. Hey, ow! I'm not going to tell you again.
Ooh, if I send a letter to this company, I can get a free sticker.
There you go. Keep all your stickers in there or
There you
candy, and put a bunch of candy in there, and then wave it in front of children and be like, "Hey, you want some free Bigfoot candy?"
Oh, I have a few things. Oh no! I have a few things set up.
Man, if all of the Funko Pops would have just come crashing down, that would have been the most hilarious thing to watch.
I also got this Lugia statue that was like a do you know like the mech builds like sets where you have to like punch out the plastic bits and like
I think
form it all together? It was like that, but it was for Lugia, which Lugia, one of the coolest looking legendaries. Autumn got me a little Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Cute.
Which is cute because I played him for my high school band my senior year.
Nice.
I got Hugh Jackman's head.
I'm so jealous.
With some popcorn still.
With still popcorn in it?
It's a week old.
Do not eat it, Connor.
Mm.
I didn't end up getting
one. It's like styrofoam.
You went to see it though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, good. Good.
Put these back up without everything falling down. Okay, I got a few other things here. I have them all off to the side here. My mom going through some stuff that she has for like her vintage resale business, and she had this book full of magic cards.
Nice.
Pretty thick.
Yeah.
She gave me that binder. As well as
some super rare card in there.
Some like 4 complete decks.
Dang.
Autumn got me a lot of stuff because she is a gift giver. So she got me the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man doll. She also got me a keychain that says Keymaster, and she has a matching one that says Gatekeeper. It's a
adorable
to Ghostbusters. She got me a rubber duck that has that's given the bird.
Nice.
She got me a wooden duck. She got me this baby blanket that's super soft and has rubber ducks all over it.
Nice.
She got me a few window cling stickers for my truck. This one has Doodle Bob and it says Mahoy Manoy. She gave me a good noodle sticker. And this one that says, the little voice in my head keeps telling me to get more ducks.
That's awesome.
She also got me this pink striped shirt. These real men wear pink. She also got me one that has lobsters on it, but I wore that.
Cool.
And then 2 pairs of shoes. One is just like a grayish purplish tan, you know, that kind of color. And then one that's red. And then she got me hammer.
Sick.
Just hammer. There's no affiliation with anything. It's just, you know, like a Nordic hammer, like a powerful Nordic hammer with some lightning around it. There's no affiliation to any other IP.
None whatsoever. It's not even close to anything that anybody's ever done before.
If you want to get really like no IP, she got me this brick set that is just princess books.
What? Where'd
Princess
she go?
Sweet
Where'd she go? The As Seen on TV store? Like
there's not even a brand name on any of this.
It's the Don't Ask, Don't Tell store.
She got me that, which I have been building. I dropped it. The wheel.
The wheels on the bus go round and
really bad. Where'd it go? I forgot to put the piece on that secures the wheels.
I don't want to hear what you peas on.
Your mom.
Got him. Hey, she listens to this.
I'm not going to apologize.
All right, so while you're doing that, I'm going to tell the entire plot of Deadpool and spoil the entire movie for anybody listening who hasn't watched it yet.
Hold on, I'm almost done. I'm just going to figure out how this. That's how it goes on. Okay. No, I just had the. Oh, here it is. This is a fun insight to how I actively build these sets. I just had the stupid. Oh, there it is. So she gave me all of that, which I can show. Like I've been building it because I was waiting for you for a while. And then she also got me a huge box of fidget toys.
That's dope.
Which you got your usuals. We got like some puppets and stuff like that. Fidget cube, just fun to play with.
Oh yeah,
these little tube things,
like a bendy straw, but you unbend and bend again.
Yeah, and like Ouroboros is itself and everything.
Yeah,
there's a little stress ball globe in there. Like squishy stuff, like for people to play with, and then just an absurd number of sticky hands. There are so many sticky hands in this box, but it has all of that, and then the number one fidget toy of all time, a Rubik's cube.
Of course, yeah. Who doesn't
Just
have
a randomized Rubik's cube from inside here, and then this little boy. That AJ, it's a cross with suction cups on it, which AJ sat there for about 5 minutes trying to throw at the windows here behind me and trying to get it to stick. Which, when I first saw it, I was like, "How's that a fidget toy? That's not going to entertain anyone." He figured it out. He figured out how to use this. But this is great. She was laughing because I opened this at lunch with her, my mom, Corey and Mug from over on TGB One Shots, as well as our buddy Josh from high school, and we all opened this box and immediately started playing with all the fidgets. And she, okay, so the
collective autism hive mind activated.
She's like, "Oh, good, the autism box worked." They also stole some of these fidgets.
Thieves.
Which is fine. It was just my birthday. But I think that's. Oh, she was asking me what I wanted. She got a lot of this stuff because she just knew what I would want. But at one point, she asked me what I wanted, which love when that happens, especially because I never can answer that question. But she got me a new ring light.
Sick.
So my personal videos over on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/ at Connor O'Connor will be better lit now.
Sick, man.
And great. So like, that'll help me feel more confident about those videos, as well as people liking, subscribing, and sharing them with their friends.
You might as well be famous already. Like, this is your ticket.
This is how I get out of this podcast.
Ouch.
No, I had to beg Matt to do this.
Well, beg is a strong word.
Did you get anything fun for your birthday? I never actually asked, and I feel bad for that.
Yes.
I know I asked you if you did anything, but
here's the funny thing. I really wanted a tattoo. So everybody just gave me cash. That was my birthday. It was cash. And a couple small things. I don't even remember. Not that they weren't memorable, family, but because I have a bad memory. But yeah, it was mostly cash and cards. People were saying, "Hey, happy birthday, you cool dude."
So do you have an idea of what your tattoo is going to be yet, though?
Yeah. I want it to be the Mothman. And I want to get it before Mothfest because I'm going to Moth.
Yeah. Mothfest is going to be fun.
It is going to be dope as heck, bruv. Let me see if I can find it.
You should get the no bridges one that you made me.
That would be kind of funny, but I was thinking in this one.
Oh, little Moff holding his coffee, thinking about lamp.
Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna get that right on my thigh. I don't have any thigh tattoos yet.
I want to get my thigh tattoo. Have I told you what I want my thigh tattoo to be?
No.
Just a big old fork full of spaghetti.
Why?
I like spaghetti. Here,
Okay,
I have a reference photo.
That's it.
I want this picture on my thigh, blue background and all.
All right, I guess so. That's
Look at
pretty. That's pretty tasty looking, actually.
A few others. I know I haven't been thinking about tattoos a lot lately, but it'd be cool to get another one soon.
Yeah, I have to wait until my job actually starts paying me. I have to start working to get paid. So enough about birthdays, because how lame are those? I want to tell you about the movies that I watched since, again, jobless. Sorry,
yes,
workless. Like, I have a job, I'm just not working currently. I start August 5th. Anyway, I watched 3 Nicolas Cage movies, okay? One of them was
for the listeners at home. I just want to put this in to perspective for everyone. Matt probably watches 3 movies a year.
Yeah.
So for him to watch 3 in a month or whatever it's been,
in 2 days.
in 2 days.
I watched my allotment for the year in 2 days. Yeah, that's fair. I don't watch a lot of movies because I don't have the attention span for them. It was actually getting increasingly difficult with every movie to stay and watch the movie.
It's so infuriating when you are such a movie person like I am.
I love movies so much. I love them. I love them to death. I just can't sit there, because then I get in the habit of getting on my phone and scrolling and then missing parts of the movie and then rewinding and then getting bored and then scrolling. It's an endless vicious cycle. I love movies so much, just can't do it very often unless I'm like really excited for it, like the Deadpool movie.
Can I tell you, I swear we're gonna get to talk about this movie. Can I just tell you something funny? Yeah. Last week I went with Autumn and my mom to go see Deadpool. And I invited I told you about my buddy Joel. You've met him. I invited him and his girlfriend to come with us too, because he and I love watching Marvel movies together. And so he was like, "Oh, I'll bring my mom too, because they're friends." And it's like, so they can have each other to talk to. And so that was actually the first time my mom and Autumn met. But we were at a movie, and then we didn't really have a lot of time to like talk. So we went over on Saturday, brought my mom some groceries and stuff for her, and they sat and talked the entire day. Well, I really wanted to be a time for them to talk and get to know each other, so I sat there and watched movies the whole time they were talking to each other. And like every once in a while, they'd be like, "Are you okay?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'm chilling. I'm watching Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 and 2. You guys do what you guys do. I don't really care right now what's going on."
Yeah. No. The wildest thing, though, I can sit through an entire season of TV. Like, I don't know what it is about like TV itself. Maybe it's just like the episodes are shorter, and so like in my head I have a shorter distance to go before I take a mental break and then get back into the episode. So maybe that's the reason. I don't know. But let's get down to the 3 movies that I watched. They are newer Nicolas Cage movies. Came out in the last. Well, they all came out last year, 2023. Okay. So I watched Dream Scenario.
That's first. On my list. I haven't watched it yet. What do you think?
Okay. That movie.
Sorry, if you had something you wanted to do.
No.
I just really wanted to watch that movie.
I don't want to spoil anything for you, so I'm gonna do this in the least spoiler way as possible.
Okay.
That entire movie boils down to a guy who wants to be noticed gets noticed and then doesn't want to be noticed anymore. That's essentially the entire movie.
That's Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man Homecoming too.
It was a good movie. Like, I enjoyed it. I probably enjoyed it. I probably enjoyed it the least of the 3 movies that I watched. However, it was an interesting movie. It's an A24 film. So it's got that like weird vibe to it.
Yeah.
That most A24 films have. Still really good. Like, I enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed Nicolas Cage's performance. It is very off the norm for Nicolas Cage. But quite enjoyed his performance. The other actors and the lesser like supporting actors, like Michael Cera's in the film.
Oh, cool.
A couple other people. I recognize the one, but I can't remember his name. Doesn't matter. He's in it. You know what? I'll just look it up real quick so I can give you. It was definitely a wild movie, like a trippy movie. Seeing Nicolas Cage with a bald spot the entire movie, like it's just it's so weird, man.
Have you ever watched Moonstruck?
I don't believe so.
I think it's the, I don't want to say the worst Cage hair, but
Okay. The 2 people, Tim Meadows was in it, and Dylan Baker. Dylan Baker played Doc Connors in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. No, not the Andrew Garfield, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I was about to say it was like a Skarsgård or something for Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, it was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man,
Or
Doc
Andrew
Connors.
Garfield.
And Tim Meadows, he's played in a lot of things. I don't really right now.
Tim Meadows is the principal from Mean Girls.
Yeah. Oh, wild. Okay. I was like,
Like
who's
it's
right now?
it's not bad.
He's so young. Good Lord.
It's 1987, and that's Cher.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like Jeremy Allen White here.
He does. I could see
Wild.
Jeremy Allen White playing a young Nicolas Cage.
I think you could do it.
I definitely think so. Okay. Dream Scenario, good movie. Not the best of the 3, but just wild.
Okay. Movie number 2.
Other 2 movies. Movie number 2 on the list for me was Sympathy for the Devil. I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's got obviously Nicolas Cage, Joel Kinnaman, who is from Suicide Squad, as well as other things, obviously, but mostly known for that in my movie viewing. Other than that, there's not a lot of people in it. Like, it's holy shoot, it's got 10 people in it. Is that right? There's no way it's got just 10 people in it. Okay, nope, it's got 10 people in it.
Yeah. What's the plot vibe of this one?
So have you seen it?
I've not heard of it.
Oh, really? I saw trailers for it and everything, which is what made me want to watch it. So I'll give you the synopsis directly from IMDb. No, don't go to Nicolas Cage. Go to the stinking movie. Okay, Sympathy for the Devil. After being forced to drive a mysterious passenger at gunpoint, a man, Joel Kinnaman, finds himself in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse where it becomes clear that not everything is as it seems. That's super vague, but otherwise it'll give away a bunch of stuff. It's one of those held captive kind of movies. Almost the entire movie takes place in a car. There are a couple places where they stop, but the entire movie, for a majority of it, takes place in a car. They stop in a diner at one point. They stop in a truck stop. I guess it's right outside the diner, the truck stop. But it's called Sympathy for the Devil. Nicolas Cage comes in with a red, bedazzled, glittery suit and flaming red hair. Like this red.
Okay.
Red hair.
Is he
Um,
supposed to be the devil?
so that's what I thought at first. I thought he was like a human form, I guess, or whatever, of the devil, named Sympathy for the Devil. Like that's what I was going into this with, in my mind. No, he's just a guy. He's just a guy with a gun. And it explains why he's there, because he's there for a very specific reason, but he's just a guy. He's just a guy. Um
Interesting.
oh, I watched 4 movies. I'm sorry, I forgot about the 4th one. Um, so good movie, just kind of like they did it well, I think, being in a car for majority of the movie. Nicolas Cage, phenomenal acting. Joel Kinnaman was pretty dang good acting. The other actors were in it, again, 10 actors. They were in it for a majority of like 2 minutes
Right.
total. So the two of them had a lot of good, I don't want to say chemistry, because like they weren't working together, they were adversaries. It was a very interesting movie. Nicolas
I
Cage was
I think chemistry is still the word you can use there because it's the way the actors play off of each other is their chemistry.
yeah.
It's not really like, and then they started kissing.
I can't say that I could predict how this movie is going to go. I'm usually pretty decent at predicting how movies are going to go. I can't say that I knew every step of this movie, but very interesting. I would say definitely worth a watch.
Called pattern recognition. You know what that's a symptom of?
The 3rd movie that I watched with Nicolas Cage was, come on, load, was Renfield.
Ah, yes. This is your first time watching Redfield.
This is my first ever time watching Renfield.
And what did you think of it?
I freaking loved it. If I'm being 100% honest, I thought it was awesome. Not only did you have Nicolas Cage, again, we're doing Nicolas Cage movies. You got to guess that by now. You have Nicholas Hoult, all right, who's very well known for playing the Beast in X-Men, as well as other things.
Nicholas Hoult is if you need like a weird little guy that's also kind of hot. So like in the movie Warm Bodies, which is Romeo and Juliet but with zombies, that's Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, if you need like kind of a weird guy that can do a lot of different things, but it's also like semi-attractive. I agree wholeheartedly. Aquafina was in this movie as the shortest, like funkiest little cop I've ever seen in my life. She was awesome. I don't like Aquafina very much. I think it's the voice. I thought she was awesome in this movie. Ben Schwartz was in this movie. Very weird to watch him in this movie, but he did it.
It's strange not to find Ben Schwartz likable.
Yeah, because he's like a bad guy in the movie. A couple other actors, but like this movie, for the listeners who don't know, is about the main character,
Renfield.
Robert Montague Renfield, I believe is his full name. Who is a familiar, or I guess like thrall, of Dracula. And he is given a like small amount of Dracula's powers, but in order to keep them, stay alive or whatever, he has to like feed Dracula. So he is bringing Dracula a bunch of dead bodies and saying, hey, drink up, because Dracula was like hurt and he has to get his strength back, all that jazz. Throughout the movie, Dracula's strength is growing, and you see him have like this abusive hold over Renfield, and Renfield is kind of like trying to break out of that hold by going to a support group.
He goes to a support group of people who are in like domestic violence situations.
Yeah, like narcissistic abuse kind of situations. And Aquafina's there, kind of like a love interest at first, and then like diminishes as a love interest. It was weird. I liked the movie. I did. What did you think of the movie? You didn't seem to like it very much.
It was just it's like it was just a lot. Like there was a lot going on, and like I don't know if it knew what it wanted to be. Like you said, like there was the love interest that kind of went off. There was a crime thriller, but it was supernatural.
Yeah.
It was just like it was like how many different movie genres can we be without actually being any of them?
Yeah. There was a lot of like action fight scenes that were pretty gory, I think, for the sake of being gory. Nicolas Cage, again, great performance in my opinion. I think he played Dracula really well.
Which is funny because he's played Renfield before in a movie, I think.
Really?
Yeah, like I think he played Renfield in a movie where someone else was Dracula.
Huh.
And so like it's a fun like turn for him to be able to play the Dracula now. And they had more accurate Dracula teeth too.
Yeah. I don't know. It was fun. It was a fun movie. It was not like I think it was higher up on the list because I thought it was very funny. The other two movies weren't really funny, which is fine. A movie doesn't have to be funny to be enjoyable. I just like to laugh. The last movie that I watched was actually from 2021. It was Pig. I did not like this movie, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It was an interesting concept, but it felt like a John Wick wannabe. That's what it felt like to me. He loses his pig at the beginning of the movie. So he goes on a rampage trying to find his pig and find the people that took his pig. So he works with the nerdy kid from Jumanji. In order to find this pig. It's a trophy.
That's how the actor is credited too. It says nerdy kid from Jumanji in the credits.
Kid from Jumanji, exactly. He works with the nerdy kid from Jumanji to find this pig and goes around. Like at one point, he's in an underground fight club, very John Wick-esque. At one point, he goes to like the richest man in town and just like tells him off. Which happens to be the nerdy kid from Jumanji's father. At one point, he's like, it felt John Wick-esque, but without all of the shooting and action and all this stuff. Like it was so weird. It was weird. I did not find much interest in it. And then there was like the whole subplot of him being like a world famous chef. And
that's why he had the truffle pig. I don't get why you didn't like this movie. It was fantastic.
I just thought it was very dull.
Hey Matt. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, no, I figured. But it was insanely dull of a movie. I like Nicolas Cage. This is not one of his best performances.
Nicolas Cage is not about quality.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage is saying, can I do this movie and stay relevant?
Yeah. So I've heard amazing things about Long Legs. Like that's something that I definitely want to watch once it comes to streaming because I'm not.
That's on you. I will not be watching Long Legs. I don't do horror, and you know that.
So in the time that we have discussed, so we discussed him last year, I believe.
Probably.
Or maybe even 2 years ago when The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent was one of his like top, like earliest movies. Okay. Or latest movies is what I meant to say. He has come out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, been in 10 movies since then. Butcher's Crossing, The Old Way, which is like a Western movie, which I'm halfway through, have not finished because I forgot. Renfield, The Flash, which he was only in for a brief cameo as Superman. Sympathy for the Devil, Dream Scenario, The Retirement Plan, Arcadian, Surfer, and Longlegs. It's so wild how many movies he puts out. Like he's got to be like finishing one movie and then just going to the next movie to film. Or overlapping. I don't know. Is he overlapping? Is it the same studio and he just like changes costumes and goes to the next movie?
Hey, fun fact. We talked about Nicolas Cage in the 3rd episode.
Really? Dang, I didn't realize it was that long ago. Oh, fun fact of Sympathy with the Devil. So the director didn't know that he was going to come in with red hair. Like I told you, he had bright red hair.
Yeah.
He just showed up on set with red hair. And they just went with it. Because they couldn't do anything about it. I love
that's
Cage,
fantastic.
Yeah, that was it. I just wanted to talk about the few Nicolas. I've been doing a Nicolas Cage marathon, which is why I felt I needed to bring it up, because I watched some of his more recent movies and I wanted to talk about them. You need to see them. Just watch everything. Every single movie he's ever been in, all 120 movies. Plus 6 upcoming.
Goodness gracious.
He's going to be in The Gunslingers 2025, The Prince 2025, both in production. Or sorry, Gunslingers in post-production, The Prince in production, Spider Noir TV series pre-production, The Carpenter's Son is in pre-production, The Lords of War pre-production, and Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse as Spider Noir in production. Stay tuned, folks. He ain't done yet. I think my mom called him a has-been the other day, and I wanted to smack her in the face.
Yeah, he has been working a lot. So I have not that I haven't watched a lot of Nicolas Cage movies, but he has too many.
Right.
And we talked about this a little bit before we got on there. There's too many for me to do for my series. I honestly believe that. There's
just do
so
a
many
two-parter.
movies.
Just do a two-parter.
Well, it's just I don't get how he has the energy to do it.
I don't either, because he's getting old.
It's not even just that. Like,
he was born in, wow, you're useful, 1964.
5 years older than my mom.
Yeah, sorry, Cindy. He's getting up there in years, and he's still punching away. Like this is, I don't know if this is a sign of a good actor or a bad actor, which is why I think you need to talk about him in your show, on your show, because is quantity or quality what you want as an actor? Obviously, the more noodles you throw, the more stick to the wall, theoretically. But
the noodles only stick to the wall when they're fully done and ready.
Right. So if you're pushing quantity, you're not focused on the quality of the movie, making it a good movie that people are going to enjoy, that's going to stick to the wall, metaphorically. But, I mean, some of them are going to hit, right? I've enjoyed some of them. I think some of them recently have hit.
I'm not saying I haven't enjoyed his movies. I'm just saying maybe there's a chance that he's not a good actor, and I just don't know if I'm ready to face that fact yet.
I disagree. I disagree based on, like, I think you can be a phenomenal actor and not have good movies. You could be a phenomenal actor and a majority of your movies be garbage. And the reason I say that is because acting isn't just acting. It's all directors, it's a lot directors and script too. For my biggest example for this is what's her face? Hap. Every time I try to talk about somebody,
Awkwafina.
No. Twilight lady.
Oh, Kristen Stewart.
Thank you, Kristen Stewart. She has had some phenomenal acting, in my opinion. In a few movies that she has been in. There has been a lot that has not been great. Namely Twilight. The acting in that was abysmal as far as she goes, to the point where it is made fun of constantly. So I think you can be a really, really great actor and have some really, really bad acting.
I'll tell you what, if my profile reaches 100 subscribers, like if my YouTube channel gets 100 subscribers by the end of the year, I will do Nicolas Cage.
All right, fellas, mark this day on your calendars.
You have, it's August 1st, so you have 5 months.
Do you as a listener really want to let me down? I'll cry. I'll cry. I will. I'll cry right on camera. Don't even doubt that. So please, 100K or
100 subscribers.
Just 100. Just 100. That's not even a big number.
Oh, sorry. Do you want a big number? We'll do 200.
No. 100 is perfect. I think you listeners need to go and you need to tell some people just to subscribe. Make 50 accounts and subscribe on all of them. I don't care as long as it reaches 100. Please. I'm begging.
Connor O'Connor over on YouTube.
Am I subscribed to you is the question.
Matt.
I should be.
You don't know if you're subscribed to your own best friend's YouTube account.
Okay, so the problem is I don't go on YouTube ever.
All
that
I
is
do is make a name for myself, guys.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to talk about movies more. You know?
All right. Bring up Connor. Why didn't you bring up Connor?
Computer, bring up Connor. How did you know my password? Alfred the Butler.
What is it? YouTube.com/@Connor
O'Connor.
Is there any apostrophes?
There shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be? Okay. Heck yeah, subscribed. Suck it. I need to turn my notifications to all. Yeah, see, I've watched your videos. You got 30 subscribers. We're already 1/3 of the way there, people.
One of those is the Garlic Boys account. I just did that earlier today. Just in full honesty.
Just in full transparency.
So
we have 44 subscribers on the Garlic Boys.
Yeah, we do.
More subscribers than you, loser. Sorry. What were you gonna say?
I'm just gonna give it a minute so that I can linger there and breathe.
Oh my god. Okay, sorry. You're not gonna guess what happened, and you're not gonna believe me at all. Okay? So I went to throw a dice down my dice tower, okay? I missed the dice tower hole at the top. It bounced off of the base, like the little tray that catches the dice, went up onto the side, stayed there on a 20. I'm not playing jokes right now. Like, hold on, let me turn my background off so you can see this. Like this view of me. How do I turn my background off? You can do this. There we go. Like, I tossed it. I tossed it to go in here, and it bounced there and bounced up onto there and stayed that way.
You know what?
Why?
You were right.
You're not going to believe it.
I'm not going to believe it.
That's okay. It did happen. You think I should start filming from down? Look up at me when I talk to you, kitten.
The solid snake. Kitten, your mission. I need you to extract me from my pants. So, do you want to talk about Deadpool now, or?
Yeah, let's talk about Deadpool.
I hate this.
Hey, Connor, let's talk about Deadpool.
I don't think it's fair that just because I changed my camera angle, you now get to change your camera angle. Because I did mine for a reason.
This is more fun. Hold on. I think I can fix this.
Nope.
Fixed. Look at that. Look at that.
And do you think this is better?
This is so much better. You can see every angle of me.
All right, sure. What if, like, just like a crazy idea for the rest of this video, you went back to how it was?
That is a crazy idea, and I will not be doing it.
Okay, whatever.
Please
So
start with your thoughts about the amazing, incredible movie that we both watched over the week.
I'm definitely going to say right now we are going to get into spoilers. It has been out for over a week. I'm sorry if you haven't seen it yet. That is on you guys.
I want to spoil this thing so bad, and I thought about doing like just try to do a non-spoiler video where we just like nodded to each other and knew what we were talking about. That's gonna be so hard because there's so much jam-packed in this movie. So
let's for a non-spoily Garlic Boy review of Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine are in this movie. They interact with each other, and everything that you'd expect to happen with them is how it goes. They fight each other. They're on each other's same side. Like, they don't get along. They do get along. There's teamwork that happens between them. It's exceptional. I think there is good comedy in the movie. I think that there's good heart in the movie. And I think the stakes in the movie make sense for what the movie is.
yeah.
Do you have anything that you'd like to say that can be non-spoilery, or do you are you able to contain yourself enough?
There was a lot of great supporting cast. I wouldn't look it up before you watch the movie, because that will spoil it. But there was a lot of really, really great supporting cast in the movie. A lot of subversion to what you might expect.
I will say the one supporting cast member, Mr. Paradox, who is someone everyone knows is in the movie, has one of the best line deliveries in the entire movie towards the end.
Yeah.
It's my favorite moment of it, and so like I think he does an incredible job. I think the Cassandra Nova, who is the villain, I think the actor, they do a great job. Emma Corrin, that's their name. They do a wonderful job. Just a good. It's a good movie.
I want to tell you, the listener, because this is one of the letdowns I had until I changed my point of view. This is not a Deadpool teams up with Wolverine to stop a bad guy movie. This is a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, which is why it's called Deadpool and Wolverine. It's not Deadpool and Wolverine saves the universe. It's not Deadpool and Wolverine stops Cassandra Nova. It's Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
There is a antagonist, Cassandra Nova, a really trippy antagonist. Awesome character.
Woefully disturbing.
But it's not really like, the stakes are, they're much higher than Cassandra Nova. She is really, like, in my opinion, she's not really the main villain of the movie. She is like the placeholder, I guess, for the main antagonist. But there's so much more to this movie, and it's mostly a Deadpool and Wolverine become best buds movie.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Now we should probably get into spoilers. So you should
starting now. This is spoilers. So
holy mother of God, Henry Cavill in the movie. What? No countdown.
I was gonna do a
countdown.
Cavill, but yes.
Henry Cavill. It doesn't matter. Just like us saying Jake Gyllenhaal. Incorrect.
Gyllenhaal. It's pronounced Gyllenhaal. I assure you it's not.
Regardless.
Henry Cavill
was my favorite part of that movie, and I want more of him.
So this movie, if you don't know, is set in the void in the Marvel universe. Because of that, there are many different versions of characters we see, and we see them beforehand as Deadpool's traveling, trying to find what they're referring to as now a new anchor being, because his universe's anchor being, which was Logan from Wolverine, died.
Yes. Yeah. I don't. How do you even begin? Where do you begin with this movie? It was incredible, and there was so much in it. It was so jam packed, full of stuff.
So I think the best place to begin is we see Deadpool get taken in by TVA agents, and we assume it's because of the meddling he did with Cable's time machine at the end of the second movie.
Pause. He wasn't just taken in by TVA agents. He completely murdered like 30 of them.
Well, I'm not starting there.
Oh, he's at the birthday party.
He was at his birthday party. His
see.
life kind of sucks. He's not with Vanessa anymore. He's trying to work a normal job at a car dealership with Peter. He notices some people taking pictures of him on his way home. He has a surprise birthday party with Blind Owl Colossus, Teenage Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yukio, Peter, Dopinder, Buck,
Shatterstar,
Vanessa, and that's it. So it's them 10 at the birthday party. This is a knock at the door. Deadpool goes out. One of the Dopinder got dancers. Oh, this isn't Pretty Woman. There will be kissing on the mouth.
Yeah.
Funniest line for me, because of just what a fun reference to that is. I put the stickers away.
Which is funny. Isn't that also Jennifer Garner?
No, that's that's Julia Roberts, which we were talking about earlier as well.
You're right.
I think that was off camera that we were talking about Julia Roberts, but still. So he then gets taken in, and he's in an interrogation room. And again, at this point, we still think he's wanted for crimes against the timeline. And we meet Mr. Paradox, who tells him that he needs him to help save the universe, or like he's been chosen for something, for like the main timeline. And he thinks he's going to try to save his world. But that's not the case. I forget what exactly he was chosen for.
So he was chosen essentially to come into the MCU. I also don't really remember why, because the first thing he says is what the MacGuffin is that, which for those of you who don't know, in literary or cinematic terms, a MacGuffin is a plot device used to kind of, it's like a placeholder. It's like I was saying, it's like a placeholder for a item. It's the treasure that Indiana Jones is searching for. It's the blah, blah. It's not an important item. It can be anything, but it is the item that was chosen, which is why it's called. Okay. So he was called to join for a greater purpose or whatever. They wanted to bring him into the 616 universe, in order to like be BFFs with the Avengers. Cause like he was trying to join the Avengers. We saw a little bit earlier in the movie. He tried to join the Avengers in his universe, right? And Happy turned him down, because he was doing it for the wrong reasons. He tried to join the X-Men, obviously, in the other movies, and that didn't really work because he is a psycho. And so he was feeling down, which is why he split up with Vanessa, or I guess why Vanessa kind of split up with him. He was feeling down because he felt like he needed a purpose. Which is why Paradox was able to manipulate him kind of easily at first in order to join.
Because he was becoming Marvel's Jesus.
Yes.
Marvel Jesus is what he kept calling himself.
I think he Paradox framed it as he would be like the new anchor being. I don't remember, if I'm being honest. That part was kind of...
And then it's revealed to Deadpool that his universe is actually dying, because his anchor being died, and because he wanted to bring all his friends and family with him, and they're like, "Oh no, you can't actually do that because this universe is set to die." And he's like, "Well, how long that's going to take?" And he's like, "Oh, it's usually about a few thousand years, but that's so boring." And this is where we see Paradox is the villain of this movie.
Yeah. And he brings out the MacGuffin, which is all the in Loki you saw the pruning like time bomb things that prune the timeline. He has a big box basically full of them. Giant time ripper is what he called it. Continue.
And so Deadpool's like, "Yeah, but if we have another anchor being, the world's not going to die." So he's like, "Okay, we just need another Wolverine." And he goes out. Is it just any other Wolverine?
No, his first thought was to get the Wolverine because
He
Wolverine,
gets the Wolverine
is what he thought. He's got a healing factor, so it's impossible for him to die. So he goes to Logan, like where they buried Logan in the movie Logan, and digs him up and finds out he's just an adamantium skeleton. That's it.
And then a bunch of TVA agents come in and try like ganging up on him and fighting him, and that's when we get the best opening to a movie ever.
Yes. So Deadpool at this point, after 3 movies, is pretty well known for the opening like credit sequence, where the names are showing up on bullets. There's amazing music. There's wild cinematography, all that jazz. In this one, he's dancing to "Bye Bye Bye" by NSYNC. One of them, yeah.
And he's literally doing the dance moves, while also just murking on all of the TVA soldiers using Wolverine skeleton.
The funniest part is they're like, throw down your weapons. He's like, "I will not use my weapons to kill you," and then he like pulls apart Wolverine skeleton and starts killing him with that.
One point he throws 3 fingers into 3 different guys' heads. Like whips him with the legs like nunchucks.
Nunchuck. At one point he puts the claws on, like he like removes them and puts them on his hands and starts
ties it with like tendons and like scratching at people with them. The best though was he takes the femur, slams into one guy's crotch, and slowly moves his hand up and down.
And then another guy walks in like while he's doing that. Oh man.
And they eventually get him back to the TVA. This is because it switches. So it has this big fight scene, and then it switches to 6 years earlier, and that's where we get the Happy Hogan scene. So the timeline is a bit confusing on that part for me. But then I think he starts looking through different universes for Wolverine, and we get a montage. So the first one he goes to, we see Hugh Jackman sitting at a bar, and I was like, okay. Oh, he walks into like an axe throwing bar because he catches one of the hatchets. We see it. He comes up and he goes, "Hey, Logan." And we look over and he's just kind of like sneering at him from across the bar. He goes, "I need your help." And just a CGI little tiny Wolverine pops down from the bar and he goes, "Oh, it's a comic accurate size 5'3" Wolverine. You're not gonna do. And then leaves. The next one he finds is the Age of Apocalypse with the wild hair, super long mutton chops,
missing a hand.
Starts fighting him, and then we see Patch at a poker table. We see Brown in yellow suit, and he's like, "Oh, you're the Mark Wade." I think he like references the writer, and he's like, "This is the suit you fought the Hulk in." And the Wolverine's claws come out, and you just see the reflection of the Hulk.
And he goes, "I am Marvel Jesus, you dull creature." And I will. And
smacks into some roots, and then we just see a montage of him dying violently by a bunch of these other Wolverines. At one point,
cut into that is like you see this huge, like ripped Wolverine, like working on a motorcycle or something. And
that's like, at the end.
Well, it keeps cutting back in and out to that scene, and then at the end it happens.
There's also the Age of Extinction, I believe, is the comics
X.
run it's from, where there's a Wolverine crucified on an X. It's raining blood, and he's standing on skulls. He's like, "This is just a little too intense for me."
It cuts in and out to Patchy Wolverine, who's got
stabbing him in the head.
Yeah.
Like just him dying violently from a bunch of Wolverines. Then eventually we get to
Henry Cavill. Henry the Cavalry Wolverine. He turns around and I think he had like a cigar in his mouth or whatever. Anyway, it was the most amazing thing. I never knew I wanted to see Henry Cavill as Wolverine so briefly.
Do you know the best part?
Sure.
He turns around, puts the cigar in his mouth, walking towards him, and he preps. He does the punch thing from Mission Impossible to get his claws out, and then punches Deadpool into the main Wolverine for this movie's universe.
Yeah. And he finds him at a bar. Eventually, just like takes him. I think they have a little fight, a little scuffle. And he just takes him to the TVA. He's like, here's your guy. Here's your Wolverine.
Here's your new anchor being.
And they dubbed him the worst Wolverine ever. And so obviously he was very depressed. You get some little exposition and you find out the reason why is because he left and some people came and killed all of the X-Men while he was gone. And then he came back and they were dead. So he blames himself. Sad face.
Unfortunately, the Friends of Humanity killed all of the X-Men.
And
that's why we see that he's wearing his super suit underneath all of his clothes. And he's wearing it because Scott always wanted him to wear it and he thought it was lame. And so now he never takes it off.
Yeah. And it's the classic blue and yellow and blue suit. Hood included, mask, cowl, whatever you want to call it.
Which we don't see until way later. But fast forwarding a little bit, they get sent to the void because they get pruned. And they have a little fight until eventually they see some people coming off in the distance. And we hear a voice warning them about what's happening.
A very familiar voice.
Literally what I was about to say. And he jumps down, does a superhero landing, and Deadpool's like, "That's a real superhero landing there." He removes his hood, and it's Chris Evans. Beard, much like a little bit de-aged, but like it's still Chris Evans. And we see a little bit of blue underneath him. He's got these like wraps on his wrists and everything. And Deadpool is excited. And like there was something subtle too that they did where just beforehand we saw a Captain America's shield, which is I think Captain America Empire. There's some comic that it's from, I believe. And we see that shield. So then we see Chris Evans and we're like, this is Captain America. So ready for it. We see Cassandra Nova's forces come and surround them. We see Toad. I think the Juggernaut's there. Pyro is like talking to them. We see a bunch of vehicle references, such as the Fantastic Four's car, the Cupcake car from Moon Knight, even Red Skull's car from Captain America: The First Avenger, but with Tony Stark's hot red flames on it. And we think that Chris Evans is about to say "Avengers Assemble," just like we've always wanted. Even Deadpool. And what does he say, Matt?
Flame on!
And it turns out it's Chris Evans's Johnny Storm, Human Torch, not Captain America.
And going up against Pyro, who controls flames, really wasn't the best idea. So Pyro takes away the fire, and Chris Evans falls, and they all get captured. Great.
So then they get taken to Cassandra Nova's hideout, which is the just grossest place to live, honestly. It's the rotted corpse of Giant Man, Scott Lang, Ant-Man.
So I actually heard a theory about that, and I do want to discuss it very briefly. So in the Quantum Mania movie, we know that I guess most things end up in the void. All right. I think when the universe dies, when it gets pruned, whatever, it gets spaghettied and ends up in the void. That's how it worked in Loki and all that jazz. So at one point in Quantumania, where they're in the quantum realm, we see Ant-Man duplicating himself. I don't remember exactly how that went because that movie was kind of not
He was stuck in a
memorable.
multiplicity matrix, and that caused different versions of himself to
And
appear there.
at one point, one of them grows really, really big and is reaching forward to grab the thing that they were, reaching for, trying to get, and gets spaghettied, and theoretically sent to the void. And if he passed out and died like that because he couldn't breathe, because when they get too big, you saw it in the anime movie, all that jazz. He might have died like that, and that is his skeleton. Dead guy, Ant-Man. Anyway, so the bad guys live in Ant-Man's skull, as well as kind of his arms wrapped around is their base.
We see a bunch of other references to old past Fox characters, specifically like the Russian from the Punisher movie, Lady Deathstrike, Azazel, a bunch of other characters.
Juggernaut.
Like yeah, that's where we see Juggernaut. And then we meet Cassandra Nova, who comes out of his Ant-Man's head, riding on Professor X's wheelchair, and she is really creepy.
She can her power is technically like telepathy, similar to Charles, which is her brother.
What she is actually an alien, basically psychic clone called a Mumu Dry, that is part of the Shi'ar race of part of the Shi'ar race's folklore, and basically she's a psychic twin that is the opposite of Professor X. That is like the comic accurate thing. In this, it's just like she's a powerful twin that gets pruned young because she's too powerful. And like you were saying, like how Professor X can reach into other people's minds with his mind, since it's the opposite, she literally has to reach into people's minds.
Yeah, like her hands are poking out your eye sockets, and it's
ridiculously really long fingers.
Disgusting to watch, but really cool to see, if that makes sense.
And we see Deadpool not taking her seriously at first and just seemingly going off on her in just a super disrespectful way, but blaming it all on the Human Torch. And so then she steals his skin.
The Human
Torch just steals his skin, and he crumbles into a pile of blood and bones. And he says, that's fine enough already. Chris Evans was draining the budget.
And then I believe essentially a brief fight scene ensues, and they hop on a Sentinel leg and blast the heck out of there.
Right as Eliath,
yeah, the big doggy thing, smoke dog that eats
the smoke dog. Yes,
you see it in Loki.
Just as he was coming to devour them, which they are safe from him within Ant-Man's body.
Yeah, I get really within buildings. It seems like which is interesting.
Not sure exactly how that works, but it does.
Yeah,
and so they blast off, land in another part of the void. They have another fight, and then Deadpool kind of promises that he could help bring all of Wolverine's people back.
Mm-hmm.
So Wolverine.
Is this where they meet Dogpool?
So they decide to start walking, and as they're walking, because Chris Evans says there's other survivors, just on like the outskirts. So they decide to start looking for them. They make their way towards the outskirts of the void, and as they're doing that, they meet Dogpool
which
or
along
Mary
afterwards,
Poppins.
Mary Poppins, and after come running after Dogpool, the cutest dog on the face of the earth, and Deadpool's like love interest, I guess, of the movie.
He
Weird.
loves the dog. The dog starts licking him in the face. It's really gross.
Yeah. Another variant of Deadpool comes running up. It's Ryan Reynolds with long hair, like a little ponytail into the long hair,
and just full hot,
like a reflective, shiny, like leather type suit. And like he's like running, swaying, hair swaying in the breeze. Gives a little exposition, says that's my dog, and gives them a vehicle to drive in the void.
He's fully still like hot Ryan Reynolds. And he even has like a little bit of a Canadian accent, so they call him nice. He's nice cool.
Mm-hmm.
They get into a Honda Odyssey. And they're driving through, and eventually Wolverine gets tired of Deadpool and is like, "You can't actually help me, can you?" And then they get into a fight, which causes them to hit the radio, which is very similar to the first Deadpool. And we hear it change from one song to the beginning of The Greatest Showman, which is a reference to Hugh Jackman's old movie. And then it changes to Alanis Morissette, and then they fight for the entire night inside the Honda Odyssey, literally contained within the vehicle, just fills with blood. Like there's blood everywhere. It's such a graphic fight. And it before that though, when they're still with Nicepool, it is my second favorite joke in the movie. And it's like, I forget what it is exactly, but it's some reference to Hugh Jackman's divorce.
Oh, okay.
Which happened in 2023, I think, 2022, 2023. So it was really fresh for Hugh Jackman for then Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds to write that joke. And in an interview, they were talking about some of the jokes that like they had to get permission from Disney to do. They were like, they let us do a lot of stuff that we weren't expecting, and even graciously, like there was one joke that Hugh let me put in there, which I was not expecting him to allow, and I think it was that joke about Hugh Jackman's divorce.
They couldn't talk about cocaine. We missed the part in the beginning of the movie. They like skirted around talking about cocaine.
Him and Blind Owl. It's like, man, I could really go for some cocaine. Like, no, Feige said that was the one thing that was off limits. And they go through a bunch of different names for it. And at one point, Blind Owl goes, "Do you want to build a snowman?" And he goes, "You know I do, but we can't." And I think that was an interesting moment because as much as like Deadpool says crazy things and people don't really like recognize him as breaking the fourth wall, in that moment to me, it felt like Blind Owl was allowing herself to like at least knock against the fourth wall.
Sorry, Mia just got home. She was ringing the doorbell. I was distracted. Yeah, totally.
So they fight in the Honda Odyssey. Are you back with me?
Yeah, I'm back with you. So they fight in the Honda Odyssey, and then it gets to my favorite supporting casts, it's plural, of the movie, other than Henry Cavill. They they pass out from the fight. Somebody gets in the car and drives them to another location. They wake up in a base, and in comes walking when they wake up none other than Elektra, who's played by the girl I named earlier, Jennifer Gardner, Wesley Snipes' Blade, and the movie that was never released, which I was so excited for. What's his face? Is Gambit.
Channing Tatum as Gambit.
Channing Tatum's Gambit. Pause real quick.
Okay,
I'm ready.
So Channing Tatum's Gambit. this whole thing is wild for a number of reasons. Number one, Wesley Snipes' Blade. Wesley Snipes' Blade Trinity, which is the third in the trilogy, is the first time we see Ryan Reynolds in a comic book movie.
Yeah.
And they apparently didn't get along very well.
They got along terribly.
Right. Wesley Snipes was just like not great to work with on that movie, reportedly.
Yeah.
Like it's said that the reason why his eyes are CGI in the last scene of the movie is because he refused to open his eyes. So they were like, fine, we'll just do it in CGI. Like
I heard that he literally like spent most of his time in his little trailer.
Right.
Came out to do his scenes and then went back to his trailer. Like he was miserable to work with, which was a big shock as to the fact that he came into this movie at all.
Because for years it'd been said that he hated Ryan Reynolds. And so like when you have Ryan Reynolds, the guy that's like, hey, come do this movie, as like more than likely, like that's what most people said, is how they got onto the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's wild that he would come and do it, but it was still like awesome to see because it pays more homage to this whole idea of like the Fox universe, and as this sort of being a love letter to the entire Fox X-Men universe.
Yeah,
because now you're bringing in Elektra, which they make some jokes about Ben Affleck Daredevil, which they were married for a while, and then they got divorced and all that. And then the Gambit scene. This movie, Gambit was supposed to be played by Channing Tatum in X-Men: The Last Stand.
Yeah,
but he was cut out of the movie, and they were said that there's too many people in it anyways, and it just didn't make sense. And this movie has been in development hell for as long as Deadpool was originally.
Yeah.
So it was just kept supposed to be happening, and it just never came to be. And so the idea that there was a universe where it did happen, and then he got pruned, was just such a great meta joke and was a really good payoff for the fans.
He even mentioned something along the lines of like stories that never came to be, like was one of his lines. I freaking loved, like they did the it's not even really, they're not cameos because they were supporting casts. Like the cameos, I would argue, were Chris Evans, or no, not even Chris Evans. He was a brief supporting cast, but Henry Cavill would be like a cameo, or Stan Lee on the side of the bus was a cameo. There weren't really a bunch of cameos. These were like supporting actors for a chunk of the movie.
Right. Like
they were able to bring them in for even the brief period that they were on screen was insane.
So we meet all of them, get a lot of exposition. Deadpool makes fun of the weird voice that Channing Tatum's doing. It's fantastic. It's like, who's your dialect coach? The Minions?
Daphne Keane also shows up.
She shows up, and she is Laura X-23 from Logan.
Yep. And it was the chemistry, again, bringing her and Hugh Jackman back on screen. The chemistry was like it never stopped. Like it was so good for, again, the brief moment that she was in it.
And she's actually where we get the backstory. Like she's the one that's able to get the backstory from Wolverine out of him. Yeah. And so like that's where we hear like what he did to become the worst Wolverine and all of that. And it's a very powerful payoff moment, because there were so many people asking like, how is this going to affect what happened in Logan? And it really was more of like, how was what happened in Logan going to affect this? And it was just like again, an homage to this great world that they were building, and it pays off in the end. And they all come together to be the force to fight Cassandra Nova, and they come up with the plan of removing Juggernaut's helmet, because it's the only thing that's still around to mess with Cassandra's psychic abilities, because there was a Magneto, but she melted down his helmet after she killed him.
Yeah.
And the idea, again, this is a great comics pull, because Juggernaut's helmet was specifically made to get to block out Charles's psychicness because he's Charles's stepbrother, and they always hated each other and had a rivalry. But that's never like seen in the movies ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like another like great thing for comics fans and fans of these characters. Like, not that you can't be a fan and just only watch the movies, but for those who like know and read the comics, they're like, that's another thing.
Yeah. You're not missing anything if you don't read the comics, but you're getting a little sweet treat when you do read the comics. Like that's how I kind of see it. And it ends up, so they end up like lots of stuff happens. They get Juggernaut's head because of Daphne Keene slice. They get Juggernaut's head and they're able to use the helmet to stop her, but then Pyro comes in and pew pew pew, and you find out he's working with Paradox.
I will say one thing I will say real quick before we move past this fight. Elektra should have died almost immediately.
Why?
Because she doesn't have powers. She's just a really good fighter. And there was at least 20 people shooting guns at all of them.
Yeah, she's fine. She's good at dodging. She went up against Bullseye at one point. She's fine.
She should have been shot. I stand by that fully, but it's fine.
Okay, well then she should not exist in the comics, nor should Batman or Iron Man or any other person without powers.
It's not because she doesn't have powers, but it's when you're in that specific situation where everyone else has some sort of a healing factor or like actual ability. Like Blade is a vampire, so he has a superhuman level of reflexes. That makes sense why he's not getting shot. Channing Tatum is a trained like X-Men fighter that like can like do stuff. She's a good fighter. Yes, her reflexes are great, but she's not one of the best combatants in the Marvel universe. She's just like one of the best street level combatants. And so I think she should have been shot.
Yeah, but at the same time, first of all, story. If you want a character to survive, they're going to survive regardless of the weight stacked against them. Second of all, these were like the extra minions from like the X-Men movies. They weren't really important enough to name. So who knows? Maybe they're all terrible shots. You don't know. Doesn't matter. Moving on. They have to decide whether or not to save Cassandra Nova because she can't heal herself if she's got the helmet on. Or if she doesn't have
her powers. But without her powers, they can't get back to their realities.
Which is total BS because she used a Doctor Strange sling ring in order to get back. Which they could have just found, but they wouldn't have known it existed without her. So like I get it. She doesn't have any special power to like get out of there except for that sling ring, which they could have used themselves if they wanted to.
Right.
However, they didn't know that, and so they made the choice to save her because that is what like Logan was feeling. He felt like, I don't know.
That's what the professor would have wanted him to do.
Yeah. So they don't kill her, and then she ends up actually helping them to get Ahsoka. Yeah,
Ahsoka was in this movie too.
Go on. She ends up helping them get to where Paradox is in the Fox universe in order to prune the universe. So they get there and they start fighting their way in, and they come across Paradox, who tells his, big blah, 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 blah. Cassandra Nova eventually comes in, and she starts, like, pruning the universe with her, her abilities with the Time Ripper. And the only way to stop it is for one of them to go down to the conduits underneath.
There's antimatter and matter, and those are coming together to create the Time Ripper. They have to bring them together to destroy it.
And one of them decides to go down there, and they know that whoever goes down there will likely die. So they have a little scuffle. Deadpool beats Wolverine into the room, shuts the door and locks it, and tries to do it himself. However, he can't reach. And this is where the power of friendship comes in, boys and girls.
This is also where my mom's favorite scene comes in.
It was a good scene. I mean, it was predictable, but it was a good scene.
Well, while they're there holding each other's hands, because Logan is holding one.
Whoa, we didn't get there yet. Logan breaks into the room and is holding the other one. Now you can go.
As they're both holding the conduits, for some reason, the only thing that is destroyed is Hugh Jackman's shirt. And you just see glistening
chest.
just glistening abs.
It was incredible.
I look over at my mom and she's like, "Oh."
So it turns out the power of 2 healing factors is enough to withstand the matter-antimatter flow, and it destroys the machine as well as Cassandra Nova with it. Then
at the end,
Paradox believes they are dead.
We see B12, I believe is her name.
We missed the entire fight.
Oh yeah, we fully forgot about that fight. So they come back. And
rewind.
They come back, and they see Cassandra Nova come back, and she's like, "I'm gonna go get the time repair."
Yeah.
And she blasts them back into a shop called Lifehold's Feet, which is a shoe store in the world, but it's just another joke at Todd Liefeld, who could not draw feet, and he was the creator of Deadpool and Cable and a bunch of other people like that during the X-Force comics. But she sends in the Deadpool Corps, which is teased earlier by Nicepool, to stop them. So we see the return of Nicepool and Dogpool, as well as 100 other Deadpool.
A few of name. Leading the pack was Ladypool, voiced by his
Blake
girl,
Lively.
Blake Lively. We had Kidpool and Babypool, both his kids.
Yes, they were both Blake and Ryan's kids.
We had Westchester Pool, which is his soccer team.
His the Wrexham FC, which was played by one of the footballers from that team.
We had like Samurai Pool or Ronin Pool, a couple others.
There was Cowboy Deadpool.
2099 Cowboy, which was voiced by Matthew McConaughey. So exciting.
And there was Headpool. Did you look up who voiced him?
I did not.
It's everyone's favorite, Nathan Fillion.
I love Nathan Fillion.
Which this is now his 3rd cameo as a different character within the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. Headpool is a zombie head that is flying around with a little propeller hat for those of you listeners.
But Ladypool starts shooting at Deadpool, so he pulls Nicepool in front of him so that he gets shot instead.
And he finds out he doesn't have a healing factor.
It's like, how long is your healing factor? He's like, I don't have one.
So he dies.
But it makes sense because if we remember, Deadpool only got his mutation in the lab with Francis, and that caused him to have all the scarring as well.
Yeah. Nicepool didn't have the scarring, which means he
never underwent that process, and so it makes sense that he doesn't have a healing factor. And then Wolverine's like, "You did that on purpose." And it's like, "No, I didn't. He made a heroic sacrifice."
And then Wolverine picks up Dogpool and holds him up, and they stop shooting. They're like, "Hold your fire!" And he like walks across the screen with the dog, like just walks across the screen to go meet up with Deadpool.
So then they decide they have to fight all the Deadpools. They're just slashing through them, just being the best they can. And it's a oneer. Through a bus that, like as Matt said earlier, has a Deadpool, has a Stan Lee cameo on the side of it, as well as another gentleman. I cannot remember his name now, but he was part of the crew and he passed away, and he was a reference to him.
This scene is also the first time we see Wolverine don his cowl.
Does he? He
that's
does.
when they come out of the shop. like they're getting ready to fight all of the Deadpools.
You're right.
Pulls on his cowl for the first time ever, folks. Greatest scene ever.
He's like, I only do it when I'm fighting.
So they fight through all these Deadpools, and then they realize that these Deadpools also have healing factors.
All have healing factors as well, and they start like regenerating. But they are saved by another Deadpool coming in. That isn't actually Deadpool. It's Peter.
It's Peter
in Deadpool's old costume that he left at the car dealership that they worked at together.
Yeah.
And apparently all Deadpools love Peter, and so they're able to distract him long enough to get down into the subway.
Yeah. So they get in, and that's when the big, power of 2 thing happens. The universe is almost pruned. It's like literally down to 1%. And they stand together, and it goes all the way back to 100%, which is wild. I don't really understand how it can go like be almost pruned and then not pruned. Sorry, not pruned.
And then B12 comes in, says what happened here. Paradox like explains the whole situation. He's like,
says they made a heroic sacrifice, and he was like tearing up.
He's like, not yet, kitten. We're not dead yet, kitten. He just goes.
He's so mad. And eventually he's just like taken in, right? Like they just arrest him.
He's arrested because his whole unit was a rogue unit. It wasn't approved at all by it and everything. And so he gets arrested by the TVA, and they talk to B12 and it's like, is there any way that like you can make it so that this Wolverine, I guess, stays here? Like they couldn't.
No, they wanted to go back and reverse what happened to the X-Men, but then she goes, "This is what made him who he is, and this is what made him save this universe with you." So no, sorry.
But then he becomes part of this universe as the new Wolverine there.
Yeah.
Which then Deadpool the whole time was like, he's gonna do this till he's 90. Disney's gonna have him do it till he's 90. He goes, no, you're 90. And then the final scene, we see them having a lovely family dinner again. Deadpool reconnects with Vanessa after letting go of all the self-doubt. Laura is now taken in after seemingly the TVA makes good on their promise to help all of them out, and they have a fun family dinner, and the credits start rolling, and we see blooper reels from all the past X-Men movies in Fox Universe and stuff like that. And then we get to the final scene of the movie, where Deadpool's like, I'm tired of all this crap about me getting Johnny killed. Let's go to the footage.
And then you see Chris Evans say exactly the trash talk,
word for word trash talk,
that he's like, oh, I never said that. We thought that Deadpool made all that crap up so that he would get killed, all that. It was in fact exactly word for word what Johnny Storm said, and
it was a great post-credit scene. It was fantastic.
It was very good. Again, like you said, a nice love letter to the X-Men universe, which now essentially is, I mean, we've been working toward it, but it's probably most likely going to be absorbed by like the Marvel universe and be connected.
So here's actually a theory that I've seen and I actually subscribe to. They saved his universe, like the I think it's 10005 or like 3 zeros. And that was the Fox timeline. And that's the main Deadpool timeline now. Well, they saved that, and it was actually regrowing, becoming new anchor beings for that world. And so, because of that, I think it's going to be coming on a collision point with 616.
Right.
And when that happens, it's going to cause an incursion between the two universes. And it's exactly what Dr. Doom is going to need to create Battle World, and that's going to be how we get to Secret Wars.
Which we need to talk about Dr. Doom, but I believe we are much, much, much out of time.
Yes.
need to talk.
We will talk about Doctor Doom on next week's episode.
Stay tuned.
Boy, oh boy, they do something.
All right, you ready to close it out, buddy?
Overall, I'm giving Deadpool Wolverine an 8.7 out of 10.
I see, me not being a super critic, I give it a 10 out of 10. I give it a 20 out of 10.
I think it was a great movie. The pacing was a little bit weird and stuff like that, but like I would watch it again. It was fun. It was great. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna give it a 9. I convinced myself to go up. They're like the small issues with it I can overlook and still enjoy the movie. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's just a cameo fest. It's not going to be good on the rewatch." Listen, nobody likes that this is happening, but people are already posting clips of it on TikTok. It's still funny every time I come across them. Like, it's great. So, yeah. On that note, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of The Garlic Boys. If you enjoyed it, you can check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook for more updates for when we post for not only this show, but also for TGB One Shots, which is our D&D Real Play show with our cast over there, as well as the Clever Boy Quiz the Show, which is our quiz show that we have special guests on, which comes out every other Thursday. TGB One Shots is on Tuesdays, but follow us so you can see when that new season is going to premiere. Then once you do that, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/thegarlicboys and just subscribe there to help support us so that we can continue to make great shows for you and that the channel can grow and become so much more. As well as follow us on youtube.com/@thegarlicboys so we can watch video versions of our podcast. And once you do all of that and you just truly cannot get enough of us, you can then support us by buying some of our merch over on our Redbubble store to help show other people how much you truly are a fan of us. Matt, do you have a supplementary mom report for this week?
Blake Lively.
Yeah, looking at the camera does nothing to me. It freaks you out. I don't know why you thought it would freak me out.
Blake Lively. That's my supplementary mom report. How about you, Connor?
I'm going to shout out Denise, who came and hung out with my mom so that she wasn't alone watching Deadpool. That was so nice of her, and I could tell they both really enjoyed it.
Shout out to you, Denise. My final thought is, before you even ask, man, Henry Cavill looked real good in that wife beater, man.
You really wanted to say it wrong. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. And remember, as always, to stay garlicky.
Listen, it's technically Hole and the other one Lohan instead of Lohan, Lindsay Lohan. And there's also William Dafoe is actually technically how you pronounce that. And Giancarlo Esposito is how you say his name. So
okay, now we're getting into slight racism territory.
No, that's how he pronounces his name.
Okay.